कॉमर्स में भारत तेजी से बढ़ता बाजार है। एक रिपोर्ट के मुताबिक इस सेक्टर की भारत में सालाना रेवेन्यू ग्रोथ 51% है और अगले 5 सालों में इसमें 50 करोड़ यूजर के जुड़ने की पूरी संभावना है। इन ग्राहकों को ई कॉमर्स कंपनियां अपने भावी ग्राहक के रूप में देख रही है। इसी कड़ी में राजधानी दिल्ली में आयोजित हुए 2 दिवसीय कार्यक्रम अमेज़न संभव में ई कॉमर्स क्षेत्र के दिग्गज अमेज़न के फाउंडर और सीईओ जेफ बेजोस ने शिरकत की, जहां जेफ ने भारत में डिजिटलीकरण पर चर्चा की और छोटे और मध्यम कारोबारियों के लिए आयोजित इस कार्यक्रम में बेहतरीन संभावनाएं जताते हुए भारत को लेकर कई घोषणाएं भी की।
So thank you, Jeff, for joining us. It's great to have you here and welcome to India.
It's great to be here. I love India. Every time I come here, I feel very alive. It's an amazing place. Yesterday, I already had a chance to fly kites with a bunch of kids. That's a good day.
So let's get started. I know you may have been asked this question many times, but I still think the audience would love to hear from you. How did you make the decision to take a chance to start Amazon.com? I mean, you were well settled, you had a great job. While it seems very obvious today, this must have been a difficult decision.
Yeah, it was. I was living and working in New York City in 1994. I came across the fact that the World Wide Web was growing very quickly. It was tiny, but it was growing very fast. Most people had not heard of it. And I came up with this idea. The idea initially was very simple. It was to sell books online. And I went to my boss, who I liked a lot. His name was David. And I said, I have this idea to start this company to sell books on the internet. And he took me on a long walk in Central Park in New York and listened to this idea in great detail. And he said, it actually sounds like a really good idea to me, but I think it would be a better idea for somebody who didn't already have a good job. And I thought about that. That made a certain amount of sense to me. And he said, why don't you think about it for 2 days before you make a final decision? And so I went away and I thought about this. And I was trying to figure out how to make this decision, because in the moment, personal life decisions, those choices can be very challenging. And I finally figured out for me the right way to think about it, which was I wanted not to have regrets. I pictured myself, 80 years old, and thinking back on my life in a quiet moment of reflection. Would I regret leaving this company in the middle of the year and walking away from my annual bonus and all those things that in the moment can be very confusing? And I thought, when I'm 80, I'm not going to think about that. I'm not even going to remember it. But what I will do, I know for a fact, I have this idea, and if I don't try, I'm going to regret having never tried. And I know also, if I try and fail, I'll never regret having tried and failed. And as soon as I thought about it that way, I knew I had to give it a try.
I'm curious, what would you have done if this bet didn't play out?
I would be an extremely happy software programmer somewhere.
It's fascinating to see, personally, I've been very impressed by how you have been able to scale as a leader, as a builder, as an operator, starting as a founder of a small online bookstore, but now being able to serve hundreds of millions of customers globally across many, many lines of businesses. And today in our audience, we have many entrepreneurs, small, medium businesses who have big dreams.
Yeah.
And I was wondering that if you have any advice to them as they scale their own businesses.
I have always been figuring out how to hire people who could be my tutor, people who would teach me. And that is, if you ever get lucky enough to be hiring people, make sure you're hiring people not only that you can teach them what you know, but make sure you're hiring people who also are going to teach you things and that they can be your tutors. And that has been the secret to the scaling of Amazon all along the way.
Let's talk about failures. I know Amazon has had its share of failures. In fact, I remember having been part of some of them at Amazon. I'm curious to know how do you think about failure, and how should we deal with failure when we see it?
Well, Amazon is the best place in the world to fail. And the reason for that is we have a lot of practice. Nobody likes to fail. By the way, failure, even when you know it's important and good, it's embarrassing. It doesn't feel good. We're all human. We had a good idea. We thought it was a good idea, and nobody came to the party. That happens. And here's the great thing, though. One success, one winner, can pay for dozens and dozens of failures. And that is why you should fail.
I myself have some scar tissue, having worked on auctions and Z-shops. I don't know if you remember those products.
Oh, I remember. I have the same scar tissue all over my body.
So pretty much all proof that I ever wrote code at Amazon has vanished. But the exciting thing is a lot of those inventions actually helped us launch India.
That's right.
Which is a
yeah, because auctions was a failure, Z-shops was a failure, but out of those ashes came Marketplace. And then Marketplace was a huge success, and it formed the whole foundation for Amazon India.
It's very exciting. So just to change gears, Jeff, I'm curious if you could share, how did you get involved in space? There is e-commerce and now space. And maybe if you can share a little bit about what's Blue Origin up to and why that's important.
Well, I have a company called Blue Origin that's building reusable space vehicles. It is a childhood passion of mine, first of all. I started getting interested in space when I was a 5-year-old boy, and I watched Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin land on the surface of the moon. Our descendants are going to move all heavy industry off of Earth. All the polluting industry will be done in space, where we have infinite resources for all practical matters. And Earth can effectively be zoned light industry and residential. And Earth can be this amazing garden. We have sent robotic probes to every planet in this solar system. We, humans, have done that. This is the good one. There are no other good planets in this solar system. We have to take care of this one. And we have to do that a bunch of different ways. There's a lot of here and now things we need to do to take care of this planet. But long term, if we want to continue to grow our civilization and have the freedom to do that, we need to also use the resources of the solar system. And to do that, we need a dynamic, entrepreneurial civilization in space. We need there to be space entrepreneurs. 2 kids in a dorm room could build a company that today has a $500 billion market cap. That kind of dynamism cannot exist in space today. 2 kids in a dorm room can't build anything interesting in space. The cost of admission, the price of admission is just too high. To do really interesting things in space, the price tag starts in the hundreds of millions of dollars and goes up from there. And that's the job of Blue Origin as I see it. I want Blue Origin to reduce the cost of access to space by such a large magnitude that we can have 2 kids in a dorm room start a great space company. That will be the future generations. They'll be able to do that, and we will all benefit from that.
That's very exciting.
And we need reusable rockets to do that. So that's our focus.
राजधानी के जवाहरलाल नेहरू स्टेडियम में हाल ही में आयोजित समिट अमेज़न संभव में 3600 से अधिक एसएमईज की मेजबानी की गई। इसी के साथ अमेज़न के फाउंडर और सीईओ जेफ बेजोस ने भारत में एसएमईज को डिजिटल बनाने पर $1 अरब निवेश करने की घोषणा की।
I know you're an optimist, but the threats of climate change are very real and
Yeah.
worrying.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, how do you visualize the future given those threats?
Well, this is something that is going to take collective action all over the world. These problems, you can go back 10 years and 20 years, and there were people who just did not acknowledge that climate change is real. Anybody today who is not acknowledging that climate change is real, that we humans are affecting this planet in a very significant and dangerous way, those people are not being reasonable. This is a big problem, and it's going to take collective action all over the world if we're going to make progress on that problem. I'm very proud of what Amazon is doing. We just announced the Climate Pledge. Climate Pledge is to reach the goals of the Paris Accord 10 years early. Amazon is going to be 100% sustainable electricity by 2030 as a step on the way to that climate pledge. We've announced the acquisition of 100,000 electric delivery vehicles. We've announced here in India that we're going to eliminate all plastic by coming right
Just
up
June 2020.
June 2020, just 6 months from now. And one of the things that large companies like Amazon can do, if Amazon were a 500-person company, we could announce the climate pledge, and it would be a very nice thing to do. And I encourage small companies to do what they can for climate change. But when a large company like Amazon with 700,000 employees and a big global footprint, when we do something like the climate pledge, it really can be a needle mover. Because it's not just Amazon, it's our supply chain. All of the partners and companies and delivery companies that we work with, for us to meet that pledge, they have to meet that pledge. And so it has a multiplier effect when a big company like Amazon gets very serious about meeting the goals of the Paris Accord 10 years earlier. It can have a big impact.
So Jeff, you're in the midst of thousands of SMBs in this room. And as I was just talking about, I feel the Indian SMB is very unique in their resourcefulness and inventiveness. In fact, I get emails from some of you, I get emails every day where they talk about how they're embracing technology and not just making a difference in their own business, but very meaningful impact to the people around them. I believe you have fondly referenced yourself as an SMB in the past, and you have something exciting to share, so would love to hear from you.
I do. I have an exciting announcement to make, and as Amit said, I was an SMB. I started, it's hard to remember, but 25 years ago, Amazon was a tiny little company. And, not only was I driving the packages to the post office myself, but I was wrapping them and preparing them and, doing all the things that small entrepreneurs do. Today, we're announcing that we're going to invest an incremental $1 billion in digitizing small and medium businesses. And thank you. And part of that is that we are going to try to use Amazon's size, scope, and scale. We're going to use our global footprint to export outside of India, to export $10 billion of Make in India goods by the year. We're going to do that by the year 2025.
So this is very exciting news, and I'm curious, is there a reason why you're making this announcement now?
Well, we're making this announcement now because it's working. We've been doing this, and it is working. And when something works, you should double down on it. And that's what we're doing, and that's why we're doing it now.
And, Jeff, any final words before we sign off?
Yeah, I do have some final words. I want to make a prediction for you. I predict that the 21st century is going to be the Indian century. The dynamism, the energy, everywhere I go here, I meet people who are interested in self-improvement and growth. This country has something special, and it's a democracy. This is going to be the Indian century. And I'll make one more prediction for you. In this 21st century, the most important alliance is going to be the alliance between India and the United States. The world's oldest democracy and the world's largest democracy.
Thank you, Jeff. That's very motivating and inspiring as always. Thank you for joining us today.
My pleasure.
भारत के कोने-कोने में फैले व्यवसायों को डिजिटल बनाने के उद्देश्य से आयोजित इस समिट के माध्यम से लघु और मध्यम व्यवसाय आने वाले समय में और सशक्त बनेंगे और इनका वैश्विक विस्तार संभव हो सकेगा।